Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching 5th part of What If Naruto Was Kyuubi's Heir. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
It didn't take long for word to spread throughout Konoha about a skills competition between the ever-mysterious Shinigami King and Hitaki Kakashi. Many people were curious about who would win because both competitors were legendary in the shinobi world and were both considered quite lethal. Many people favored Kakashi to win because he was the hometown favorite, a Yondaime student, the son of the White Fang, and possessed Konoha's last remaining Sharingan eye. Some were concerned that the Shinigami King would win because not even the great Hitaki Kakashi could have defeated S-class missing nin from Akatsuki. Nobody knew much about him except that he and his group decimated the organization and that he was responsible for Uchiha Itachi's paralysis. Everyone who fought either died or was paralyzed to the point where they couldn't describe what they saw. Now it was the day of the fight, and while everyone was preparing for the event they had been debating, one Kyuubi Naruto was in his master bedroom, staring at the ceiling of his home, with one Hyuga Hinata next to him. Naked. He didn't need his fox sense of smell to tell Hinata wanted to make love to him, and since they already had Hiashi's blessing, what better way to celebrate his return to Konoha and back to the love of his life. Hinata purred slightly as she moved her head deeper into the crook of his neck, her body attempting to mold itself onto Naruto's body. The once shy girl who used to faint around him now had claw-like hands that made her gentle fist even deadlier, silvery white fox ears, a pure sliver lightning streak running down the entire length of her hair, and her stamina had increased several times over. The final distinction Naruto could personally attest to. "Would you like some breakfast, Hinata-chan?" Naruto said this as he whispered sensuously into her ear, causing the girl to moan at the mere sound of it. There was no breakfast. "Just Naruto-kun, please," Hinata purred more, as Naruto began to massage her ears, knowing that it was her weak spot when it came to making her feel good. "You can have both if you get up now," Naruto said before kissing her neck and jawline, causing the woman to moan as she raked her clawed hands over his chest, leaving red lines along it. "Do you mean both?" Hinata awoke to see her lover's grin before the two of them went into a full-on making-out session for an hour. Streets of Konoha. "How do you feel about the fight that's going to take place today?" Tenten spoke to Neji and Lee, who were very interested in the matchup. "Yosh. I believe Hitaki-san has lost the flames of youth and will thus lose to the Shinigami King," Lee said before nodding his head as if he was completely correct. "I've never seen Hitaki-san go all out before, so I can't judge his abilities until I see him do so. However, the Shinigami King is not weak by any means, and he was the one who made two S-class missing nin come to Konoha for sanctuary," Neji said, not wanting to make any assumptions until he saw the fighters themselves in the midst of battle. "Do you think the Shinigami King will use that long nodashi he's carrying?" "They say he's quite the swordsman," Tenten said, hoping to see the man use the sword in the fight and observe his fighting style. "I wonder what kind of taijutsu the Shinigami King uses and how it compares to my own fighting style." Lee wondered, his curiosity increasing his excitement for the big match. "Hey! You guys!" exclaimed Ino, Shikamaru and Choji trailing behind her, looking sluggish or eating something as they walked. "How's it going, Ino?" Tenten turned to face her fellow Junin shinobi, who, like Sakura, was a huge Sasuke fan. "Oh, the usual stuff," said Ino, "but I'm really excited about this match that's going to happen later today against Kakashi and the Shinigami King," as she had noticed several betting areas popping up, with many betting on Kakashi winning despite his demotion from Junin to Chunin all those years ago. Back when Naruto had fled the village in order to survive. "Do you believe Naruto-san is still alive?" Lee sensed what everyone else was feeling because it had been nearly 6 years since Naruto left to avoid execution because of what he held. Naruto has never been one to give up on Lee. I suspect that wherever he is happy, and taking him away from that happiness would be wrong, Neji said, hoping that Naruto was happy where he was and that the blonde would return to make Hinata happy again. I heard from my father that the council is upset with the Shinigami King and the other shadows in the group. They won't say what or why, but whatever it is, it's too troublesome for my taste, Shikamaru said, only to have his head bashed by Ino because everything around him was troublesome in his eyes. Typical Shikamaru, Choji thought before opening a new bag of chips and resuming his eating. Hours later, Hokage's tower. So we were in agreement? Tsunade wondering where Naruto learned his negotiation skills so she could learn them as well. She felt as if she had struck a deal with the devil. Literally. Indeed. It was a pleasure working with you. And remember, the council cannot in any way void or change the contract's agreements, said Naruto, knowing that if those old bastards and bitch knew even half of his demands, they would send every loyal shinobi after him. Of course, she says. Since you have the support of the Fire Daimyo, I don't think any of them will object to what we agreed upon. I'm concerned about the villagers' reaction to this because I don't want a full-fledged riot on my hands, Tsunade said, referring to the people's protest of some of the contract's demands. Spoiled brats who need a good kick in the dollar to set them straight. They've become arrogant and self-important, believing that someone will save them from certain doom. If they don't wake up now, Konoha your grandfather founded will be lost forever to narrow-minded stupidity, said Naruto, knowing that the last thing Tsunade wanted was for her to destroy the village her family had built. Not going to happen. I'll make sure of it, Tsunade said, looking at the clock on the wall, knowing the big fight between Naruto and Kakashi would be in less than an hour. Good. See you at the fight, Naruto said before covering half of his face and walking out with his team, Hinata in a henge now beside him once more. Was everything fine? Hinata knew it did, but he still wanted to hear it from him. Naturally. Now, when this fight begins, I want you to be with the Hokage because you are her apprentice, and I don't want anyone thinking about harming you when I make a certain announcement about us, said Naruto, referring to himself, Hinata, and the entire Shinigami shadows. Man Kakashi is going to wet himself if he sees you again, Zabuza chuckled, while Haku simply nodded behind his mask. All of Konoha is going to wet themselves when they find out who we are. Ghost, Yugito smirked, knowing that revealing her identity as well as being a demon vessel would terrify the populace with unbelievable fear. I want you all to be Grandma Tsunade's bodyguards for this event, as well as to protect my mate from any potential harm the council has in store for her. They'll put 2 and 2 together about us once they see Hinata's features after the henge is removed. The special protection order from the Fire Daimyo does not cover her, and unfortunately, they may use that to get to me, and if that happens, I need you all to be her shield during the battle, said Naruto, knowing that Hinata could hold her own due to her newly discovered form, but he was not going to gamble with her life when the odds were stacked against her. Understood, King Sama, Kimimaro said as they exited the tower and the time for the fight approached. Be safe, Hinata said, trying not to be concerned about her love and mate, knowing how strong he was. For you. Always. Naruto said as he kissed her hand and motioned them to accompany Hinata to the stadium. What are your plans, son? Kyuubi looked at his son curiously in the boy's mindscape, wondering if he should get involved in his child's personal affairs when he had nothing else to do. I'm going to remind Kakashi-sensei that you should never upset a demon vessel, let alone a future demon lord, Naruto thought to himself as he walked towards the stadium, his right hand going through hand signs under his cloak. You're going to scare the holy hell out of him before you fight the man, Kyuubi said, more as a statement than a question, as the great fox grinned at the thought, relishing every moment of it. Would I be worthy of being called your son if I wasn't? Questioned Naruto, raising an eyebrow at his father, who simply chuckled at his son's penchant for pranks. Make me proud, "Son," Kyuubi said before returning to his cage to sleep and enjoy the upcoming battle. "Always," Naruto said as he stood outside the stadium, having completed the one-handed gestures before slamming his palm into the ground, creating a large poof of smoke. It was time to unleash terror on Leaf Village. On the field, Kakashi waited patiently for his opponent to appear, with Jiraiya acting as the referee for this match though he could assist, but he couldn't help but wonder why the other Shinigami shadows were so close to the Hokage and her apprentice. The council apparently wondered as well, with Danzo asking the question, to which the one known as Sin of Mankind replied, "It was the will of the Shinigami King," before turning to face the arena. This made the people wonder if the Shinigami King was planning a political marriage with the Hyuga heiress in order to keep the Shinigami shadows in Konoha. Hiashi's expression had revealed nothing when word of such a rumor reached his ears, but it never did despite the subject being his oldest daughter. Perhaps the Shinigami King isn't all the talk everyone makes him out to be, thought a bored Hitaki Kakashi, calmly reading his book and looking at where the Shinigami Shadow's supposed leader was supposed to arrive from time to time. "Who do you think will take home Forehead Girl?" Sakura, who was watching the fight somewhat boredly, asked Ino what the big deal was. "As if it matters, Ino pig. None of them can compete with Sasuke-kun. When he returns to the village to find his brother, he'll declare his love for me, and I'll be able to help him restore his clan," Sakura said, making Ino frown, because the platinum blonde had long lost her feelings for the Uchiha traitor and wanted nothing to do with any of them. "Naruto would be disappointed in you, Sakura, and if Hinata discovers you still support the Uchiha traitor, she'll send you to the hospital again," Ino said, having witnessed several of Hinata's attacks on her friend for insulting Naruto so many times. Naruto was a baka, a loser, and he was always attempting to put himself between Sasuke-kun and me. "I hope he's in a ditch somewhere, dead or dying," Sakura said, irritated by Ino's remark. "Well, I now know who else gets a personally reserved spot in hell with the rest of the Uchiha clan," Ino thought before turning to Shikamaru, who was looking up at the clouds with a solemn expression on his face. "The clouds are darkening. A dark storm is looming overhead," Shikamaru, the team's top cloud watcher outside of his family, said. "You're correct. I'm curious what this means for the fight." Ino was worried because she really wanted to see the match. It wasn't long before a strong wind blew into the stadium, heralding the arrival of the storm Shikamaru had predicted. Thunder and lightning rumbled above the people in the stadium, causing them to be concerned, with the exception of the ever-calm Shinigami shadows. Kimimaro had put a reassuring hand on Hinata because she, too, was terrified by the storm, which howled above her like a wild animal. A chorus of people could be heard coming from the entrance where the Shinigami King was supposed to enter, and two columns of druids carrying torches emerged soon after. With them was a leaf shinobi dressed in a bloody, war-torn Junin uniform and sporting silver hair similar to Kakashi's. It was Hitaki Tsukumo, also known as the White Fang. "Holy shit!" exclaimed Tsunade, Jiraiya, and the other shinobi and civilians who had heard of the legendary Hitaki Tsukumo. Kakashi dropped his book, stunned to see his father again and the state of his mangled body, which was still bleeding from performing seppuku. His face was mostly hidden, but a trained eye could see him scowling, and as the dead shinobi looked at Kakashi at that moment, he came to a halt just a few steps in front of the druids. "Is this a ruse? Does this man claim to be my father?" Kakashi didn't take his one eye off the man, knowing that if he did, the man might not show up again. "Damn you, kid. You're not my son," Tsukumo exclaimed before turning to the side to face the entrance and showing more of his back to Kakashi, who was staring at his father in disbelief. "How can he say such a thing? What have I done to lose my father's love?" wondered Kakashi before seeing his father address the startled and terrified crowd. "Without further ado, I present to you the Shinigami King," exclaimed Hitaki Tsukumo, his right hand outstretched towards the dark void. Just as the White Fang finished his last 3 words, a gong rang out, deep eerie music began to play, and a thick fog rolled towards Kakashi, covering the entire arena floor. The mere sight of the Shinigami King walking into the arena past the druids holding the torches nearly paralyzed everyone. He soon came to a halt in front of Hokage Kumo, who was kneeling before the man with his head bowed and his hands on the earth beneath him. "You did a good job, my servant, in announcing my introduction. You have done well for your master," Naruto said, commanding Kumo to raise his head from the ground but not the rest of him. "I am honored, my master," Kumo said as Naruto placed his right hand on the deceased man's face. "Leave my father alone," yelled Kakashi, who wished he could do something to save his father but was too paralyzed by fear to do anything but watch the drama unfold in front of him. "Be quiet, you moron. In light of your loyal service to me, Hokage Kumo, I hereby release you from my own so you may enter the heavens above," Naruto said before sending a pulse of demonic chakra into the dead man's body, causing it to collapse and turn into brittle bones that quickly turned to dust that scattered into the winds. "What have you done to my father, you scumbag?" Before the druids behind the Shinigami King dispersed into the darkness from which they came, said Kakashi. "I let him go." Hokage Kumo did not enter heaven or hell after he killed himself, but instead went willingly into the depths of purgatory, waiting for the time when he could finally prove himself worthy to someone, in order to remove his shame. "When I learned of this, I told him that if he completed any single task I asked of him, I would release him from such shame and allow him to enter the heavens," Naruto said, which was true because he learned about the man's fate shortly after dealing with Uchiha Madara several years ago. "It makes no difference. You are an evil creature, and regardless of whether you assisted my father, I will do everything in my power to kill you here today," Kakashi said, frowning at the warrior in black before him, who appeared completely calm despite the threat. "Are you still thinking of yourself, Kakashi? What would your father have to say?" "Oh, yes, he no longer considers you his son." "Such a shame," said Naruto, smiling cruelly behind his mask as he felt more of his old sensei's killer intent rise at his words. "Stop talking. Start the match, Jiraiya-sama. I want to kill this beast right now." While the Shinigami King appeared to be as still as a statue, Kakashi prepared to raise his Sharingan. "Okay, Hokage Kakashi versus the Shinigami King. Ready? Begin," exclaimed Jiraiya, before sprinting away from the two. "Fire style. Dragon Flame Jutsu," exclaimed Kakashi, ignoring the Sharingan and launching an all-out assault to catch the Shinigami King off guard. "If you were any slower, Kakashi, I might have suspected you were part snail," said Naruto, who moved with incredible speed and dodged Kakashi's attack, who went through another set of hand signs for a different jutsu. "Earth style. Mud Dragon Jutsu," exclaimed Kakashi, sending a mud dragon at his opponent, only for the redhead to backhand it away with a wave of demonic chakra. "I am an elemental master, Hokage. Don't insult me with ineffective attacks. When we fought the members of Akatsuki, they knew to take me and my group seriously. You, on the other hand, fight like a second-rate genin fresh out of the academy, so if you want me to reconsider, you must abandon your weak strategy and go all out in this match." "It's an insult that you hold back on me," Naruto said, flexing his right hand before strolling around Kakashi at a leisurely pace. "Be careful what you wish for," Kakashi said as he revealed his Sharingan and charged at the Shinigami King, launching into a full-fledged taijutsu battle. "Whoa. I've never seen Kakashi move so fast before," Asuma said, having heard that the man's speed was legendary but finding it difficult to keep watching. "Yes, but the Shinigami King could be said to be the same. He's matching Kakashi move for move as if each move used meant nothing to him," Kurenai said beside her lover, her baby in her arms, as the two shinobi sparred. Is this all you've got, Kakashi? Have your skills deteriorated as a result of your demotion to Chunin? Naruto grabbed Kakashi's right arm and twisted it until a loud snap was heard. I was demoted because I preferred the last Uchiha over the dead last at the academy. The boy was nothing compared to Sasuke, and because he was pitied by the Hokage, I was punished for doing what was right, Kakashi said, kneeing his opponent in the ribs only to feel as if he had just hit a mountain of jagged rocks. For a genius, you're certainly stupid, Naruto said before unleashing a barrage of kicks and punches on Kakashi at breakneck speed that the Chunin's Sharingan couldn't see. Wait a minute. This Shinigami King is the real deal. I can't see him move when he strikes, and judging by the way Kakashi is taking a beating, I doubt he does either, Kiba said to Shino, who nodded as he witnessed the brutality of the match against the son of the White Fang. My bugs say he's familiar in some way, but they can't figure out what, Shino thought as the Shinigami jumped and delivered a powerful spin kick to Kakashi's head, sending the Chunin flying. Tell me, Hotaki-san. Did you know Yondaime had a son? Naruto approached the downed man, who was now bleeding from the temple. Impossible. If his son existed, I would have known and trained him to be just like him, said Kakashi, who was bleeding and bruised but still went through one more set of hand signs for his signature jutsu, which had always been his ace up his sleeve in the past. The Rikiri. Impossible? How does that sound? Was the man homosexual? Was he really a she? How can it be impossible, Hotaki-san? Naruto came to a halt about 15 feet away from the Chunin. Stop talking. Whatever you're trying to say to me won't stop me from sending this Rikiri right through your body, said Kakashi, his scowl indicating rage at his opponent. Is that true? Oh my, that's a shame, because the entire time you've been fighting me, you haven't just been fighting a Shinigami King, but rather the son of the Yondaime himself, Naruto said, pulling down his cloth mask and removing his hat. You look nothing like him, Kakashi said, though the hair did remind him of someone close to his sensei who was long dead. I suppose I don't look like him now that my hair is red and similar to my mother's hair. However, before my hair naturally turned red, it was blonde, and my eyes were deep blue, like the depths of the ocean. Didn't a certain villager share these characteristics? Naruto said this as he took his sword behind his back and unsheathed it for all to see. He was not his son, he explained. You are not his child. I was the only son he ever had and needed in his life, Kakashi said, preparing his jutsu to strike and kill his opponent in one shot. The late Sarutobi Sandaime would strongly disagree with you, Kakashi Teme, because he was the one who secretly married Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina. Wasn't there a boy named Uzumaki in the village? If I recall correctly, he was on Team 7. The dead last, as you and everyone else called him, Naruto said, turning the blade so that the flat edge faced Kakashi. If he was Yondaime's son, why wasn't he named Rookie of the Year like Sasuke? Said Kakashi, his mind racing with the possibility of having his sensei's son on his team and not realizing it. How could I when I was so despised? The shinobi guards at the library refused to let me in to study. The Chunin teachers gave me impossible questions that no academy student could answer, and my tests were designed to fail me from the start. Nobody would teach me anything while everyone was giving everything to Uchiha Sasuke, the survivor of the Uchiha clan massacre. I had to work my tail off to get what I needed, while Sasuke barely moved an inch, and when he did, it was you who assisted him in moving it so he wouldn't have to do it alone. You preached teamwork, but I was the only one on Team 7 who did anything for the team. How many times did Sasuke or Sakura assist with the more difficult D-ranked missions? You just looked away, Kakashi-sensei, while those two assholes I had as teammates did nothing while I had to do all the work. It doesn't matter because I am much stronger than the Uchiha, Sakura, and you all combined because my hard work has saved your asses more than once, Naruto said to his old sensei, his eyes blazing with demonic red. "And Naruto?" exclaimed Kakashi, finally understanding the man's words. Everyone in the stadium who didn't already know was shocked, and many of them turned a deathly shade of white at the news. The majority of those who had been cruel to Naruto were also in the stadium, and the fact that the boy they had treated horribly was the Yondaime's son made them feel even worse. But the worst was yet to come. "So you, like the other jackasses in this stadium, figured it out. It doesn't really matter now because I have no love for you, Konoha, or my biological father because of what he did to me." When he thought he could trust the village to look after his one and only son, the Yondaime was just as stupid as the rest of you. The man had to be a moron to think that every arrogant shinobi and civilian in this pitiful shinobi village would honor his dying wish to see me as a hero. All that matters now is that when my group and I defend this weak village against the Iwa Sound Alliance, that my group gets paid a very large sum before leaving this Kami-forsaken shithole, Naruto said, tightening his grip on his sword. "How can you mean that, Naruto? You wouldn't abandon the village for which your father gave his life?" Kakashi asked, staring at Naruto in disbelief. "The village has never provided me with a reason to remain loyal, Kakashi. When I think of Konoha, I don't think of the great shinobi nation that has survived several wars and a single demon attack. All I see is a spoiled, rotten, arrogant dump, and the only redemption I see for this place is that everyone who has wronged me in the past, along with my father, pays their asses in both money and blood," said Naruto before disappearing like a ghost. That was, of course, before Kakashi was seen screaming in agony on the ground, his Rakiri now disengaged and his hands clutching his eye where the Sharingan had been. Naruto was behind him, holding the questioned eye in his left hand, looking at it as if it were nothing more than a simple eyeball before crushing it in his hands, causing dark liquid goo to spew from his clenched fist. Did he just do what I believe he did? Kurenai turned to face Kakashi, who was covered in blood from skin to mask. Yeah. He just removed and crushed the last Sharingan eye in Konoha, which means Sasuke is the last one with the bloodline in both his eyeballs, Asuma said while Guy was unusually quiet with his old team watching. Naruto, I think I should call the match, Jiraiya was about to say when Naruto gave him a hard glare, causing the Sannin to stop. The match is not over, Jiraiya, until I say so. Naruto scowled at his opponent before taking his long nodashi of a sword and piercing right into Kakashi's spinal column while behind the Chunin before easily twisting the blade so his former sensei would never be the same again. Oh man, Naruto wasn't kidding when he said he'd make those who screwed him over pay out their asses, and I'm just glad I'm not one of them. The mere thought of repaying the man would be too difficult, Shikamaru thought, shivering slightly at what Naruto might do to them all after today. The world does not need people like you as a shinobi Hotake, so I have decided to put an end to your ninja career. Forever. The fight is over, Naruto said as he pulled out his sword, replaced it, picked up his hat, and walked away while several medic ninjas attended to Kakashi. Because of the incredible silence created by his actions, no one saw the other Shinigami shadows leave with Hinata. Moments later, Hokage Tower. This is unacceptable, Hokage-sama, exclaimed Danzo and his fellow council members, who had just learned the details of the contract she had signed. I think the man more than deserves to get his back pay from this village, Tsunade said flatly to the old council members she was stuck with. Can he get his back pay? It's more like retaliation. The amount he is demanding of the entire village, from the people of Konoha, and from clans to simple common folk is unprecedented. With that amount of money, he could build an entire new village, Homura said, simply refusing to pay the contract amount. Considering your actions, which prompted the villagers to act as they did, I believe it is more than fair, and unless you are all considering not paying or skimping on your sum, I suggest you don't. Unless, of course, You want Naruto to carve 10 pounds of your own flesh out of you without any painkillers beforehand, Tsunade said, seeing the group in front of her pale at that statement. You can't be serious, exclaimed Koharu, as neither of them wanted to do either. You old shits, I'm dead serious. The people of Konoha owe a lot to the son of one of its greatest heroes, if not the greatest of all time. The village's debts, as well as your own to Naruto, have long been unpaid, and by Kami, I am going to make sure that everyone in Konoha pays up. One way or another, Tsunade narrowed her eyes at the council, who wanted to continue protesting but knew it would be futile. Hokage-sama, exclaimed Sakura, entering the room with a scared yet angry expression on her face. Sakura, what exactly is it? I have paperwork to complete, you know. Tsunade was slightly lying because her shadow clone needed to do a lot of paperwork while she went out and got drunk. I'd like to protest the reappearance of that baka Naruto. He has no right to be here, regardless of whether he is the Shinigami king. Why aren't any of the shinobi going after him? Sakura began ranting if Tsunade hadn't punched the woman straight back out of her. Say one more word, Sakura, and I'll hit you all the way to Suna for Gaara to finish you off, Tsunade said before turning to the council, who were wise enough to keep their flinching muscles in check and left before the Hokage could yell at them any further. Tsunade was thirsty. 15 minutes later, Namikaze Estate. You so kicked his ass, Naruto, Zabuza laughed cruelly, despite the fact that the entire group had regrouped as a whole back at the estate. He had Zabuza covered. I was simply doing Konoha a small favor because any shinobi in its ranks like him are clearly unworthy of the title. What were your thoughts on the fight, Haim? Naruto was drinking wine in the cellar with his friend and future wife. Naruto-kun, that was nice. I'm not sure if it's my demon side or the fact that he's hurt you before, but I'm glad Kakashi-san suffered at your hands. Hinata looked at her companion before taking a sip of wine from her glass. Damn. Even when Hinata drinks, she does so in a very sexy way, thought Naruto, who couldn't help but grin at the sight knowing she was his mate. If I may ask, Hinata-sama, how is Itachi able to speak? When he was defeated by Naruto-sama, his tongue was forcefully ripped out. Yugito was intrigued because she had witnessed the action firsthand. Oh, really? The hospital has all kinds of organs in case someone needs one to replace a lost limb, and tongues happen to be one of them. It took several weeks of carefully planned surgery, but Itachi-san was finally able to speak again after it was attached. It was difficult for him to speak at first, but after a few weeks, he was able to say full sentences. Hinata said this after assisting the Hokage with the surgery. Naruto-sama, we may have a problem, Kimimaro said calmly, looking out the window at the scene before him. Oh? Please inform Kimimaro. Naruto observed his Shinigami shadow with interest. A large number of people, both villagers and shinobi, appear to be heading this way. Even though they are barely at the estate, I can sense ill will from them. Kimimaro observed various villagers holding various objects and shinobi wielding their preferred weapons. They apparently refuse to compensate me financially for what they did to me physically. That implies that we must proceed with the alternative form of payment. Naruto finished his wine and rose from his chair, putting his sheathed sword on his back as he looked out the window to see the angry mob growing in size. You want us to help Naruto-sama? Haku asked, preparing his weapons while the others did the same. No. I'll deal with it myself. The rest of you should stay here and activate the estate's shield seals to keep it safe from harm. Yes, Naruto-sama, Haku and Kimimaro said simultaneously as Naruto vanished from view. Away from the Namikaze estate. Naruto waited patiently until the angry mob's large form of human beings were 10 feet away from him, giving him hateful looks. He encountered everyone from villagers to shinobi of the ranks of Chunin, Junin, and even a few Anbu. If Naruto had remained his old self, he would have been terrified of the mob or even hurting them in order to prove he was not what they thought he was so they could later apologize for their transgressions. Naruto, on the other hand, was not his old self, and he was not feeling the mercy that a normal human would have shown them because he was no longer human. Such mercy to arrogant human beings was not tolerated by the future Fox Demon Lord and ruler of Demon World, and they needed to be made an example of. "I suppose some things never change," Naruto said before turning his head to the house and nodding as a chakra barrier activated around the estate gates, creating a dome that prevented anyone from entering unless someone inside let them in. "You filthy demon, how dare you return here? You must have had a lot of guts to come back here," said one of the villagers, holding a blunt object resembling a club. "I returned home because your Hokage asked for my help in the upcoming war with 2 other villages. As things stand, Konoha will fall without the 5 Shinigami shadows to help defend it, but if you think we should leave, I'm fine with that, after I get paid, of course." Naruto smirked slightly as he watched them all become enraged at the mention of him being paid. "Your payment will be in the form of a beating before we kill you," Sakura exclaimed, to the delight of those around her, who cheered and patted her on the back. "Actually, according to the contract, we receive payment from Konoha in general and then from the people in general. That means Konoha will have to pay the entire group twice, and there are 2 ways for the people of Konoha to pay us before we leave to never bother you again." Naruto's smirk had transformed into an almost cruel smile. "Almost. Like we'd ever pay you money, demon," exclaimed one of the Anbu, his hand itching to draw blood from Naruto. "Well, that's one option gone, leaving only option number 2 as a possible way to pay our group, and personally, I think it's only fair that the arrogant people of Konoha get this deal," Naruto said, flexing his right hand under his cape, his bloodlust growing inside of him. "My son, go get them. Make them remember how fear felt." Kyuubi's bloodlust grew as he saw the people through his son's eyes, wishing it was him who would be the destroyer of these fools. "And what alternative choice is that, Naruto Baka?" exclaimed Sakura, cracking her knuckles as she planned to pound him into oblivion like she used to. "You pay me with your flesh and blood," Naruto said as he unsheathed his Nodashi, his eyes blazing with red demonic fury. "Kyuubi brat, you can't kill us all. You are weaker than you were nearly 20 years ago in your current human state." Junin with a scar running diagonally down his face said. "Human? Who said I was no longer human? No. I am so much more." Naruto said this as he unleashed his demonic chakra on them, paralyzing them with fear at the magnitude of power he had unleashed. "They're all going to die," said Kimimaro, who was watching from the window with the others, who nodded in agreement as Naruto unleashed an enormous amount of power. "I am so turned on right now," Hinata thought, wanting to take Naruto right then and there. "I am the Kyuubi's heir, the Prince of Foxes, and the Reaper of wayward arrogant souls like yours. I told you all at the stadium that Konoha would pay out their asses one way or another, and you chose not to believe me because you thought I was bluffing." It wasn't a ruse. Naruto revealed his fox-like fangs before launching an unmerciful attack on them. Having faced this power before, some of the shinobi attempted to fight back, only to be sliced into hundreds, if not thousands, of pieces. People attempted to flee in the hopes of alerting others that the demon was attacking them, in the hope that a greater force would arrive to kill the monster before them. They were instantly cut down as they tried to flee, and Naruto didn't care that they were pleading for mercy before he extracted their souls from their bodies. The Hokage Tower. Hokage-sama. An angry mob has gathered outside the Namikaze estate. They intend to kill Yondaimi's son, but he is currently killing everyone. What are our options? Chunin dashed into Tsunade's office for instructions. Allow Naruto to do what he needs to do. Those scumbag villagers have caused him enough problems. It's past time they paid the price. Have all of the deceased's assets liquidated into cash and ensure that it all reaches Naruto as compensation for having to put up with their stupidity. Tsunade stated that he did not want to deal with those idiots right now. Tsunade just wanted to enjoy her sake, while her shadow clone did the dreaded paperwork. From the Namikaze estate. Sakura was drenched in blood. She had been the sole survivor of Naruto's massacre, and now the two stood before each other. They were almost face to face, Sakura trembling in front of him like a scared pink rabbit in front of an angry fox, which seemed highly appropriate in terms of animal similarity in this case. Do you have any last words before I rip your head off your body? Naruto approached her with casual grace, while the pink-haired woman in question backed away from her soon-to-be killer. Keep your distance. You monster, get away from me. I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of pleading for mercy knowing you're not going to accept it. You are nothing more than an abomination, just as my parents warned me as a child that you would one day reveal your true colors before destroying the village. To think I was foolish enough to give you the opportunity to prove them both wrong, only for them to be correct about you. Sakura stated her eyes were filled with hatred, malice, and rage for this man, who had once been on her team. If I had wanted to be merciful to you, Sakura, I would have stabbed you in the heart and left you to die in a pool of your own blood, just like the others around you. However, I will not show you mercy because you do not deserve it for how you have treated me. Your parents, like you, will be joining you soon because they need to learn what it means to disobey the Yondaime's dying wish to see me as a hero, and they, like you, will die in a harsh manner fitting for arrogant human scum like yourself. Naruto stowed his sword and extracted a simple senbon needle from a mechanism hidden in his wrist. Bastard. You ignore my parents. Sakura took the kunai in her hand and stabbed him with all the speed and strength she could muster. It is their own damn fault that they are who they are. Deal with it as I slowly kill you. Naruto moved behind her with unnatural grace, dodging her weak attempt to kill him, and placed the senbon needle in the back of her neck at the center point. I'm unable to move. What have you done to me? Sakura discovered her body paralyzed from head to toe as the leg muscles tightened, forcing her to stand completely straight against her will. I put a senbon needle in your neck, Naruto said, walking around to face her, inches from her face and staring her down. What? I'm sorry. I don't understand. Sakura discovered her body constricting on itself, feeling blood slowly flowing up her body into her head. I placed it in the center pressure point of the neck, which is strictly forbidden and, as such, is not practiced by almost all shinobi villages, Naruto said calmly, staring at her clearly in pain face. But almost? Sakura flinched at the sensation of blood filling her head. Yes. Mist Shinobi first used it to get people to talk before dying on the battlefield or during interrogations in Mizu. It's known as the kiss of the dragon. They practice this pressure point technique because the victims who felt it died in a painful and bloody manner, just as you will soon with your parents following suit when I pay them a visit. Even as we speak, all of the blood in your body is making its way to your head, where it will stay no matter how hard you try to stop it with your chakra. However, once I remove this senbon needle from your neck, all the blood in your head will flow out your nose, ears, and even your eyes, and you will die. Painfully. Naruto scowled at the woman he once cared about, feeling he had no reason to be sorry that she was about to die at his hands. Sakura had shown him no respect, so he would show her no mercy in return. Wait. Naruto-kun, you don't have to do this. If you let me go, I'll find a way to assist the other villagers and shinobi who still despise you. What do you think, Naruto-kun? Sakura hoped it wasn't too late to keep living in the hopes of luring the Fox Prince into a false sense of security before shocking him when he least expected it. Your words are as false as Orochimaru's regard for loyalty from those who serve him. Sakura, and as such, I have no regrets about leaving this miserable world. When you think about it, it's quite ironic that I saved you from a psychotic Gaara's death grip during the sound invasion, and now we're 6 years later, with you in a near-death situation at my hands. There will be no Sasuke to make you feel all toasty warm inside, no knight in shining armor to save you, and I will not change my mind about letting you die because there is no way once the needle is in place. So, Sakura, do the shinobi world a favor and die with dignity, as a shinobi should, rather than as a simple fangirl. Naruto reached around her and pulled the needle out of her, causing a chain reaction that caused her body to spasm. Naruto stared at her the entire time, not batting an eye in remorse, while she stared back at him with wide eyes of sheer horror, as if she had finally realized the consequences of her actions towards the Fox Prince and wished she could go back in time. As the Chunin stared into Naruto's eyes, blood pooling around them, she realized it was too late to truly apologize, and as she died in agony, she wished she could go back in time to make amends for what she had done to him. Her wish would be denied. They say the pen is mightier than the sword, but I say the Senbon needle is even mightier than the pen, Naruto said, turning around to head back inside the estate and hurling the Senbon needle back into the flesh remains that now lay outside his family estate. He needed to eat something before proceeding to slaughter the rest of the Haruno family. 30 minutes later, Hokage Tower. This is inexcusable, Hokage-sama. The damn demon slaughtered civilians and shinobi alike as they protested his contract's payment terms. He had no right to kill them, and we intend to petition the Fire Daimyo to remove the protection order he granted the beast. Danzo had lost several spies among both parties of the mob as a whole when it came to knowing what was going on in and around Konoha. They were trespassing, Danzo, and you were aware of it. They wanted to beat Naruto to a bloody pulp before attempting to kill him, so don't try to use self-defense as an excuse. They should have come to me if they wanted to protest his presence here, but instead they went to Naruto's house, where they knew they were trespassing. They were all killed for no reason other than they chose to pay Naruto for his service to Konoha in the secondary manner specified in the contract rather than the first. If you have issues with the contract, take them up with Naruto, but don't come to me complaining that the man is finally getting what he wants from the people who denied him it in the first place. Tsunade said, pointing to the doors, I've had enough of their whining and complaining for today. This isn't over, Tsunade, Homura said as they all left, vowing to make the woman and the Kyuubi brat pay for their actions. When this is over, I expect a replacement of council members who know what the hell they're doing and have Konoha's best interests in mind, Tsunade said, wishing Naruto could kill them all and let one of her shadow clones sort it out later among the large pile of paperwork that would result. Barbecue restaurant. Man, I can't believe Naruto was the Shinigami king for so long. Just when I thought the man couldn't get any nastier, he pulls this on us, and now look what he did to Hitaki-san. Shikamaru admitted that Kakashi was a bad influence and never acted like a true shinobi. Yosh. Shikamaru-san, I can't believe it either. Guy-sensei was astounded to see someone faster than him at his best, and even more astounded to see Naruto cripple Hitaki-san for life after piercing his spinal column with his Nodashi. Lee said this after witnessing his former Junin sensei's stunned expression at what had occurred. I can't believe he said he was the Yondaimi's son. I mean, he was being treated cruelly all the time. Despite the fact that he was the son of a hero, Tenten had always admired the fourth Hokage for his bravery and had never had the opportunity to thank Naruto for bringing her idol, Tsunade, back to Konoha to become the fifth Hokage. But you remember what Naruto said, right? He despises his father for what happened and was adopted by the demon lord the Yondaime. Despite the fact that most people in the Leaf are hateful, I have always believed that Naruto was never a demon at birth, but has chosen to reject his humanity because of the hatred he has felt from Konoha his entire life. In short, the boy now man has become what most villagers and shinobi had feared he would become. He has become a self-fulfilling prophecy born of Konoha's own unjustified fears as a result of what is within him, Shino had felt people's unease when they looked at him or other members of his clan because of who they were and their bloodline limit, he said. He did not deserve the hatred of the adults of the older generation. We should apologize to the estate for not doing anything about it. Choji said this as he ate several more ribs from his plate. Hey, did you hear? Naruto was attacked by a horde of people, and he killed them all. Sakura was also a member of the group. Kiba ran into the restaurant and discovered the other rookies sitting down to eat. What? Is Forehead Girl dead? Ino was shocked to learn that Naruto had killed her childhood and best friend. Yeah. She was apparently the mob's last victim, as he had killed everyone else before her. Kiba had overheard the information from a couple of people, he said. It's not like she didn't deserve it, Neji said, drawing surprised looks from the others who hadn't expected him to be so casual about it. Why do you say that? Asked Kiba, who, like the others, was curious. Sakura has done nothing but smear Naruto's name in the ground, telling everyone how she always thought he was a demon and how Naruto was always putting Sasuke down. How many times did Hinata-sama commit her to the hospital after hearing Sakura say such things? The Haruno was a fangirl shinobi want Tobi who would have sold us or the village to the Uchiha for a date or on the promise that Sasuke would let her bear his children. She was in more pain while alive than she is now dead, Neji stated calmly, and everyone reluctantly agreed with him in that regard, though a part of them still missed her because they had known her since they were children. You have a point, man, Kiba said, knowing how the girl always tried to hurt Naruto for the smallest thing, with the exception of breathing, which he swears Sakura tightened her fist ready to punch him for as well. Well, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm going to go talk to Naruto and at the very least offer him the friendship that he has long been deprived of, said Neji, rising from his seat to face the man who defied fate and cut through it like a blade. The others quickly followed, wishing to do the same. Sometime later, Namikaze Estate. This certainly comes as a surprise. To be honest, I half expected you all to join Sakura in the angry mob that had gathered outside my house not long ago. Naruto sat in his large living room with the other rookies before him. We are the arrogant villagers or shinobi who would hate you for who or what you were before getting to know you, Naruto. All you've ever done is bring life to everyone and everything around you while giving up everything you desire in return. Shino smiled beneath his heavy-set clothes as he and the others noticed the new and possibly improved Hyuga Hinata sitting next to him on his couch. When the rookies first arrived at the estate, they noticed the bloody corpses were still outside his home because the waste disposal unit had not yet arrived to clean up the mess. They were worried, of course, that Naruto or his fellow Shinigami shadows would start killing them right away, thinking they were sent to kill him. When the figure known as Black Angel arrived at the door, he let them in without hesitation and seemed to greet them warmly. Neji nearly died when he saw his cousin with her new features. The Hyuga girl wanted to keep her features hidden at first, but Naruto wanted everyone to see her without the henge and understand what he had done to Hinata. The group was shocked, but understood that Naruto, as a demon lord, needed a mate who he knew could return his love and live as long as he could. It wasn't hard to see why Hinata was the way she was after the explanation, but it didn't make Neji feel any better about the fact that the two had done that to make it happen. Hinata didn't mind because she could be the Hyuga clan's watchful eye from afar and step in if the clan became arrogant and cruel like the elders used to be. Naruto and her both agreed that while they would eventually leave Konoha when they could no longer live in the leaf, they would return later to keep an eye on the future generations and protect them from trouble that came from within or without the village. That's encouraging. I can now put my trust in you to help secure Konoha's future long after the war is over. What is the status of Konohamaru Corps? Naruto hoped that the younger kids ahead of him were doing well. Naruto, they miss you terribly. They would be here to greet you if it weren't for the fact that they are all on a mission with their sensei Ebisu right now. Neji had met the trio and discovered that much of Naruto's past self had rubbed off on Sandame's grandson. Even the sexy jutsu, which Neji would never admit to, was caught one day and received a massive nosebleed as a result. When they return, I need one of you to tell them I'm back in Konoha and I want to see them, Naruto said, scratching Hinata's fox ears and purring as she kissed his neck. Get a room, you two, exclaimed Ino and Tenten, who were now blushing at the sight of the two lovers' affection, while the guys were all getting nosebleeds thinking of that special someone who could do that with them. Only the Shinigami shadows appeared unaffected. Why? It's my home. Naruto licked Hinata's fox ear, causing the woman to let out a sensual moan before moving to straddle him so they could have more fun. We're leaving, yelled Ino and Tenten, quickly taking their boyfriends and the other rookies' males with them to avoid becoming perverts. Some things never change, Naruto said, motioning for his fallen Shinigami shadows to leave him alone with Hinata so they could make better use of the couch. They would eventually require a new couch.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.